So now let's add a menu to our game. So we go into the layouts folder, right click, add a layout. We will add an event sheet to it as well. Let's name it menu. Let's rename the event sheet. You can press F2 or double click the event sheet. Or right click either, rename. ES menu. Like the rest of our projects, its size is going to be 512 and 512. We will be reusing some of the objects we already have, so as the snapping to grid is per layout, you have to check it out, to click it out again. So the backdrop, I'm drag dropping one, since we already have one. I will want, but I will need to add some other objects though, and one I will do is the logo, obviously. Small tactics, here it is. And we will add two behaviors, two sign behaviors to it, 1 and 2. One is going to be the size, and the other is going to be the angle. The size changes in a period of 12 with a magnitude of 25, and the angle in a period of 4 with a magnitude of 2 only. And this will do the trick of having a nice logo moving, floating around. I will need to add a sprite, be the last survivor, and place it around there. Name it TXT survivor. There, rename the logo as logo, and we will add a new sprite. It's going to be a tricky one. We'll reuse, actually, no, it's there, players sheet 0. Here it is. So position there, and the player's object, so let's name it players. It is what we are going to click to select either one player or computer. And we also need to add a player's instance variable as well. Let's make a new instance, and the one on the left is equal to 1, and the one on the right is equal to 0. Good. We'll handle in the code a bit later what it means and how it works. We drag drop the piece from there. It's the very same we have, and this one is initial frame of 1, and we'll simply make the players a bit bigger, and they will fit right away. Nice. We are missing the credits, so let's add the sprite credits, but we'll resize it a bit so that it's small. It will be there for now. That's about it for the menu at the moment right away. We will be adding some bits of code, which is going to be when we touch the object players. Here it is. Down. Oh, I've seen that I forgot to change the name there. Let's rename it credits. It's players, and it's P's by default, which is good, but it has no code and no interest other in this very layout with the last survivor. Here it is. So untouched players, I will reset the global variables, and there it will work as intended. Make a blank sub-event and go to game. Go to layout, go to layout game. Here it is. The next step is to handle how you can play alone versus an AI. So we need to include some AI in our turn-based system and handle it from there. One thing to do so is to add a global variable, name it computer, and by default it's a -1. Let's finish with the menu, and it's actually going to be right up there, so let's copy that. Let's add a condition, add another condition, and it's going to be the player's instance variable when players is equal to 1. We will set the computer, set value computer to 1. Let's start by adding the AI code if you want. We will make a group for a change. AI is going to be the name. Let's add a sub-event and check that system player turn is equal to computer. So when there are two players, it means that computer's value, our global variable we have there, is -1. This very condition is never true, and so this code never works. But when computer is equal to 1, it means that we are replacing the player number 2's turn by the computer. And we will add another condition, which is system, making sure that the layer visible transition and that it's actually inverted. It is not visible, and we will need to add a function. So add a sub-event function on function. Let's call it pick move. We could have called it AI as well. Anyway, we will call it from there. Function, call function pick move. And for the code itself, it's actually pretty similar to when a user touches a ghost piece. So we just simply copy the actions from there. And it's all. It's all we need to make an AI in our turn-based system, because it's taking advantage of the transition system we have put in. The user's actions are there nonetheless, because our player is touching the go button anyway. So it's true also that it's a bit of bothering, because let's test it from the menu. So be sure to select menu. Let's have a try. Let's have in 1. It's players 2, but this is something we will have to modify. You can see resolution, and it's moving by itself. So we have to click twice when we should only click 1 and have only have the resolution, you know, kind of skip the transition. Interesting, it's taking over. I went a bit fast. Even though we are using the very same code, we still need some event and some picking. So add a sub-event right there, and we will start by pick a random instance of the ghost piece and have the usual piece animation frame. Is equal to player turn, and so actually put the code right there. Start it again from the menu. So select 1 player, players 2 turn. Now we are moving. Let's hope for the best. Yeah. might win this one. Ooh. It's going pretty well so far. This is going to be tricky. As you can see, the AI is not really intelligent, if you will, because it has cornered itself. And so I'm supposed to have win, but it still says draw. Let's go back and in ES game. So yes, the AI is working anyway. So when it's the second player's turn and that the computer is set on, so that computer is equal to 1, and that the player turn is equal to 1, and that the user has clicked, so the layer transition is not visible anymore, which also means that check move has been called, you know? Once there on touch to go, check moves have been called. So there are ghost pieces, even if we don't see them, they are still there. And so we call the function pick move, and the computer picks one random ghost piece instance, it picks its own piece, and it applies the very same code that when you are clicking on the ghost piece right there, which is to set the current X position and Y position, the target position, and it calls the next player, so it passes to the resolution step of the game. So that's how we can add a very simple AI very quickly, and it does the job, but we have to handle it a bit better and have a better display at the moment. So let's finish that. It's in display transition, I guess. Yes, it is. So when the player turn is less than 2, we'll have to add a sub event and check if player turn is equal to computer at the same time. And if it is, which means that it's a computer player, we'll set txt transit animation frame to 2. Yes, 2, which, remember, is normally computer's turn, right? Oh, draw and draw. Interesting. I don't know how it happened. It's kind of strange. It's maybe a bug in the current release. Never mind. Let's open it again. It's player 1 wins and player 2 wins. Here it is. That's what we wanted. Yes, it's good. We then need to modify on the go button in winner, when winner is not equal -1, right there, and instead of restarting etc., we actually want to go back to the menu layout. The next part is to add the sound to our game. So we go back into the menu, we add an audio plugin. Here it is. We'll also add some sounds. We'll import sounds when you right click on the folder sounds. Those are the one provided. We import in Windows 7. It does the full conversion to OGG and AAC, which is nice. In Windows XP you will have to do, can't remember which one it is. I think it's the M4IA. There is one of both conversions you will need to do, and you need to convert because Internet Explorer only supports M4A format, whereas Chrome, Firefox and most other browsers do support OGG as compressed sounds. If you want your game to work on all platforms, you need to make this conversion and provide actually both formats of sounds. So we have our sounds in. We'll want actually here in the ES menu to add an event on start of layout. And on start of layout, we'll want to preload those sounds. So let's go preload draw, preload player 1, player 2, player 1 wins, and player 2 win. This means that when you are first loading and starting your menu layout, you are preloading those sounds. And once they are preloaded, they are in memory, and it's good. It will play right away as soon as you use the play action of your audio object. We also need to add a new layer right there and add a new sprite object. Sprite right there. We will import frames, and it's audio off and audio on. Open, delete the first frame. It's good, it's what we want. Nice. Oh, I forgot once again to change the speed of the animation so only one frame is displayed. Let's name it audio toggle and make it global, which means that you only make the object once in this layout, but when you will go to the game layout, the object will appear in the very same layer. So that's why also you will need it. Well, it's better to add a layer there to put the object in. It's nicer, I think. And so on the code part, all we need to do is to add an event touch on touched object sound toggle, audio toggle, and set the animation frame, set the frame to self.animationFrame +1, but we'll put it into parentheses and add a modulo %2, which means that it's going to cycle between the frame 0 and the frame 1, actually, simply. And this code will also need into the ES game event sheet. Put it there, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V to copy paste from an event sheet to another. It does the job. And to handle now the fact that we have some sound, we'll have to make some modification in ES game, so it will start from the very get-go. Add a sub-event. If audio toggle frame is equal to 1, I will want to play a sound, and this sound is going to be play by name. So the sound is going to be player, no space, and it's the concatenation, player turn +1, and the tag is going to be player turn. So right there, I'm using once again the player turn global variable and applying it to a part of the name, because there I have player 1 and player 2. That's the name of my files. So player 1 will actually be when player turn is equal to 0. 0 + 1 will make me player 1, and when the player 2, my player turn 1 + 1, it will be equal to 2. And that's how I will pick only the correct file to play. And this very event, I will actually need it again in the display transition. In display transition, then I would just copy paste it. I've drop it actually. It's there, but it will be right at the end, and I will need, because of what I've done earlier with the else, I will need to check. So add another condition. It's a system else condition. As you can see, it tells you it's not valid there because it is not the first condition of the lot, which means also that it's according to the event we've had on top of it, which is that there was a winning condition. But if there isn't a winner, that winner is not equal to draw as well, and that the animation frame of our audio toggle object is equal to 1, so the sound on, if you remember, right there, it's this frame there, which is on, otherwise it has a red stripe on it. And so when this happens, I play the very same sound as earlier, which is the player turn, accordingly to what turn it is. But I can also then add the draw sound and the winning sound. So let's do it right there. It's almost the same event, so let's copy paste it. I remove that condition and that condition too. I only need to check for the animation frame, and right there it's not using player turn though, it's using winner. The winner condition, the winner global variable, and I add still a bit of name right after it, and the tag I will change because it's player win. And as you can see, it's because I have player 1 win and player 2 win right there. Player 1 and player 2. So the logic is the very same that for this one, but I am having a suffix that allows me to tell what file I want exactly, and can handle it thanks to the winning variable I already have. And our system, it's very involved in the system as well. And finally, when destroyed count is equal to 2, I would change it right again. And this time we can go back and play a basic sound because it is draw. So let's call it draw as a tag. We should be able to try. Small tactics. Let's make the sound. It plays. It does the job. So let's try for a quick win. Our last part for the tutorial is to add the credits screen. Let's go. So once again, add a new layout. Add an event sheet, name it credits, rename the event sheet to ES credits, and don't forget to put it in 512 by 512 size. That's good. Let's, like earlier, snap to grid. Let's drag drop the backdrop on that. Let's do the same with the credits object. And this time I can make it 1-1. Use it. I need also the go button right there. And I finally need a layer 1 for our audio toggle. And in layer 0 I will need to add another sprite though, that will have several frames, so import frames, and it is right there, the sound, tutorial, graphics and font, which is a nice way, in my opinion, to, well, give credits where credits is due. Change the speed to 0 as usual, and let's replace in the correct order. So the graphics first, Fountain 3, sounds, tutorials. It's good. There it goes. And we will add an instance variable in text1 and name it URL. I need to change the name. Let's call it txt URL. Let's modify the frame to 1, 2, and 3. Let's put it on the back. Let's check that the collision polygon is okay. It is. In any case, set to bounding box so that it's the biggest possible. For the URLs, I will be copy pasting from a previous project so that it is quick. It's not as much the promotion right there which is interesting, but the final element, which is that when you will be clicking on some of the text objects, well, even though they are sprites, it will use the browser plugin to open up in a new window. So let's add this plugin right there, browser, and in the ES credits we will add an event touch on touched object txt URL, okay, and use the browser open URL in a new window and use actually the txt URL and tag new window, which means it will open in a new window or a new tab of your browser, which is pretty interesting. So in that single action, it does the trick. I forgot earlier, let's add a behavior to the credits objects. So as you are noticing right there, I can add the behavior to another instance in another layout, but it will still be added to it. So even though we've used it into the menu right there, the behavior will be added to it too, so it's a flash behavior. Let's close it. I've added it into the credits, right? It's there, we can see it. And if I go into the menu and select the credits, it is there too. It's part of the object type. But there we won't use it, whereas in ES credits we add an event on start of layout, and on start of layout we will want the credit subject to flash for on time of 2.5, off time of 0.5, and a duration of infinity. And with this simple page, with this simple code right there, we have the flashing. So yes, it does flash. And if I click on a button, it takes to the correct URL and websites and stuff, and to GameDev Tuts Plus, which is nice. So yeah, we're just missing the go button right there, because if I click it, nothing happens. Let's do that. ES credits, add an event touch on touched object go, and we simply go back to the layout menu. System, go to layout menu. Here it is, done. That's about it. So from the ES menu though, we will be adding, copy pasting right again this, And that's it. We have our complete game. Oh, almost done. Don't forget, right there, game menu credits, you might want to put the menu first, as first layout, but you can also just add it and select it in first layout menu. This way you are sure that when you are going to execute your project, it is going to be the first layout to be executed, which in our logic is what we want. So here we have it. We've added a menu, AI, sound, and a credits screen to our game. We're pretty much done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and see you in another one.